Here to be students. I guess it's high time we started. And our today's topic would be reading for detail in the Russian state exam. So basically a set of exercises in the reading part, which most of you are familiar with. I hope that my today's presentation and set of activities will be useful for you. So I guess we can begin now. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Konstantin Sizov, and a few facts about me. I graduated from Moscow State University of International Relationships in 2016. I studied at the Faculty of Law. Now I am a teaching assistant at the Institute of International Education at MSPU. And actually, why I am talking to you about all these things in the Russian state exam, because I became the Russian state exam expert in 2019, and also I have been working as a private tutor and preparing students for the Russian state exam since I don't know even when. So basically for more than 8 years. And I can tell you that the average score of the students who I've been teaching is above 85 points, which I think is quite nice, especially taking into account that different students have different backgrounds and abilities. So today our main focus will be a set of reading exercises, which is considered the most difficult in the reading part. Basically 7 exercises, but let's talk about it in detail. I would like to tell you first about the task itself. Usually it is a piece of text. And if we talk about the genre, usually it's a kind of magazine article or a fiction story. Sometimes it can be like documentary, but I would still refer it to magazine article. This text is usually followed by 7 multiple choice questions. Multiple choice involves 4 answers. And I would like to highlight it. Only 1 answer in each of these questions is correct. Before we move on to dealing with some particular examples, I would like to tell you about my personal strategy. Since I took the Russian state exam 2 times in my life, in 2012 and 2019, I'm quite aware of how to do it, and the way I do it actually works for most of people. So first of all, I read the text and get the main idea. Basically, it helps me to guess, maybe not me, because I'm quite aware of many words in English language, but it basically helps to understand the words that are unknown. Some unfamiliar words or some neologisms, it doesn't matter. But for sure, some of the words in the text will be quite new to you. So basically you read, you get the main idea, you try to take notes, you try to guess the meaning of new words from the context, and only then you start doing the questions. Yeah, that might seem to take quite a lot of time, but believe me, that pays off for sure. Because when you know the general idea of the text, and when you have the understanding of the, I don't know, the author's mood, the emotions, and the whole concept which is being talked about, it is easier to give answers to general questions like what is the attitude of the author, sad, sarcastic, or whatever. But I'm telling you that it's only my own strategy, and it works for most of the people. I'm not saying that it will work for you, but why not to try it? And before, again, we move on to the practical tasks, I would like to comment on a few pitfalls, which means things and points where you can make mistakes and where people mostly make mistakes. Here are the pitfalls. First and foremost, it's read the task attentively. I've seen multiple people who failed at simply reading the task. Sometimes the task is to say what is not mentioned in the text, and people are surprised because everything is mentioned, or nearly everything is mentioned, and they just, without understanding what is being asked from them, they choose the wrong answer. So read the task and then approach it. Quite often, not always, but quite often, all the answers seem to be correct. And I would like to tell you that it is totally impossible. There is only one correct answer. Even though they seem very similar, or sometimes they may seem, I don't know, all of them might seem the same, they are not. Read attentively again and try to feel and find the difference. Moreover, the same words in the answer which are mentioned in the text are not necessarily a sign of the right answer. So be careful about it. Sometimes it might be put in the same words, but the sense, I mean, the main idea of the answer might be completely different. So I refer you back to the first point. Read the task attentively and the answers as well. And again, why my instruction works well in this respect? Because when you get the main idea of the text and you get it clearly, it's easier for you to spot, to notice these different ideas in the answers. Last but not least, one paragraph, one question rule does not always work. Basically, a text consists of 5 to 7 or to 8 paragraphs. You will see it in the practical examples I'm going to talk about today. But sometimes, or quite often again, this rule doesn't work. The answers for the 3 questions might be found in one of the paragraphs. So be careful, read attentively, and always scan the whole text for the answer. I hope my pieces of advice would be useful to you. And now let's get started with actual tasks. Before we move on, let me explain the way we would work. You have the chat and you have the opportunity to text. I would be reading it attentively, or at least I will try. I will offer you one question and one paragraph at a time. There is always correct answer in the paragraph which you will see on your screens. So I will give you a minute or maybe 2. We will see the speed to read and to try to identify the correct answer. Try to do it yourself. Don't read the other people's answers, or don't wait for me to tell it to you. Again, I regard this webinar as more or less practical one, so I would like you to work yourself as well and text the answer. If you have the time to actually prove why you chose this or that answer, that would be perfect. After these 2 minutes or so, I will comment. I will tell you the right answer and I will comment why it is right. So if everything is clear, let's move on. The first text is called iGeneration, Teenagers Affected by Phones. And again, it includes 7 tasks. Please read the first paragraph and choose the correct answer. Let's start with a minute, and then I will comment on the correct answer. Okay, it's been on even 1 minute and a half. Okay, I already see some answers. So, congratulations. You're absolutely right. The correct answer is 4. And the justification, a few parent-free hours shopping with my friends. Definitely. Great to see that you didn't have any difficulties in this. So I guess we can move on now to the next question. Again, 1 minute and a half to look through and to find the correct answer. Maybe even less than 1 minute and a half. Okay, I already see the answer. 3 and 1. Yes, Victoria is absolutely right. Here we're talking about the first sentence of this paragraph, which contains the answer. So it is point 1. She goes to the mall with her family once a month. I would like to pay your attention to the fact that actually some words which are mentioned in the text are already are also included in the answers, like Snapchat or iPhone. So basically, be careful about it. It might be confusing. However, I consider this very task quite simple, and we can move on now. The same paragraph, but a different task. Those who find it easy to find the correct answer, I also would like you to provide the justification, because at the exam you will have an opportunity to underline something in the text. Here, I cannot provide all of you with a printed version of the text, so type it if you can. Yes. So I guess it's time to reveal the correct answer, and you're absolutely right. It is 1. It is, that is just the way her generation is, she said. You're right. My congratulations. So we move on to task 15. There are 2 paragraphs. I would like you to keep the first one in mind till the end of the whole text. Those who already have the answer, you are welcome. And then I will comment on each of the points. Okay, great. Amazing speed. Like it takes you less than 2 minutes to get the correct answer. You're absolutely right. Nothing is mentioned about physical health problems. I will stop at this one because it is, I think, one of the most controversial tasks. So first of all, yes, it is highlighted, which is not mentioned, which is not true. But again, even when it is written in capitals, it can be omitted. Believe me, the exam is a stressful procedure, so be extremely careful about it. So most of them feel extremely unhappy. The second paragraph contains information about depression and suicide. So I don't think they are, I don't think that this statement is really true. Sorry, not true. It is true. It is easy to hurt them psychologically. There are a few words which mean easy to hurt, and these words are susceptible, the second line of the first paragraph, and vulnerable, the first line of the second paragraph. So if you don't know these words, it would be quite difficult to guess. They prefer loneliness to company. This is not directly said, but it is implied by the sentence, more comfortable in their bedrooms than in a car or at a party. Basically, none of us, I hope at least, none of us have parties without friends. So you're right, number 4 is the answer we are looking for. Let's move on. Task 16. A longer paragraph, but still. If you already have the answer, feel free to actually type it. Okay, my congratulations to those who said 1. It is the correct answer. I see number 3 in here. So basically, we hear that, sorry, we can read in here that this lady, Athena, always looks at her device and does not listen to a friend, while her parents were not like this. But it is not mentioned. She mostly said about the fact that she is looking at the phone, not in the person's eyes. Great. But still, they do most of the things. I mean, they discuss their problems, they listen. We move on. Task 17. Quite a short paragraph. I don't think it will take you a lot of time. Here, the answer is not mentioned directly. You need to somehow read it between the lines. You need to somehow guess it. So be extremely careful. Again, my congratulations to those whose answer is 2. I agree that to some extent, her behavior seems aggressive, but that's not the point the author tries to show us, tries to pay our attention to. The point is that the girl who behaved in such a way, she understood that, yes, phones are separating us. Phones stop us from being friends. Congratulations. And the last point, you will see why I actually asked you to keep in mind one of the paragraphs in the tasks before. So here it goes. We need to make some kind of conclusion in here. So let's stop at this point. I quite understand why you suggest number 1, but unfortunately, it is not the correct answer. Let me go a bit back. So first paragraph and sentence number 1. Some generation changes are positive, some are negative, and many are both. So this is exactly what is meant in here. There are good and bad sides in using smartphones. Yes, the author's attitude towards the whole concept is mostly negative, since it causes, depression and other unpleasant things, but it is not only about limiting. It is also about, yeah, they separate us, but at the same time, they make our lives easier. I would agree to those who would say that the answer is not obvious. Konstantin, yes, I would agree with your point of view. I wouldn't say that in any place of the text, but usually it's like the first paragraph first question, second paragraph, usually, not always, second question. But sometimes you need to understand the general idea of the text in order to answer some question. The answer maybe, spread somehow, not be even in one place. For this reason, I warn you and I want you to be extremely careful. So this was a kind of warm-up. Now let's move on to the next text, which to my mind is even more difficult, but not that controversial at some points. American Sign Language, the language of deaf and numb people. Take your time to read it and choose the correct answer. Mm-hmm. Okay. First of all, why number 4 is not correct? Because spelling means writing, and we are not writing words. Some gestures mean a gesture itself means one word at a time. We're not showing particular letters with our gestures. So number 4 will not work in here. Number 3, I guess it's more or less obvious why number 2 is incorrect. Number 3, artificially developed system of science. I totally agree, it is artificial, but at the same time, these science are not, are not disconnected, are not completely different from natural language, from the language we speak. For this reason, those who answer 1 are totally right. I hope it was more or less clear why this very point is like this. And again, I remind you that some controversies, some, I don't know, some things where you're not sure might happen. If you have such a situation, do not get stuck in here. Move on, get back to it a bit later. It's totally okay. And we move on to the next task. We already have the first answer, but wait a bit. Mm-hmm. Okay, some people suppose that it's 0.4, which, sorry, is not true. There is some problem with the presentation. The correct answer is 0.1. Why 0.4 is not correct? First of all, such an idea is not included in the text. It is just said that there are different languages. I mean, there are different sign languages, and that's it. The author doesn't say a word about whether it should be some universal language or not. Point 3, finger spelling is the main principle. I would like to pay your attention to the fact that ASL does sometimes use finger spelling. So I guess everybody will agree that sometimes cannot be called the main principle. For this reason, point 3 is not a good idea to answer. Some particular aspects of sign language are more important than others. Basically, it is not mentioned in here. For this reason, the first one, hearing people, I mean people like me and you, may have difficulties in understanding how it works. Yes, this is the idea which contains right in the third sentence of this paragraph. ASL and English are two completely separate languages, each with their own grammar, which means that if you speak spoken English, English for people who can speak and hear, you might have problems with using ASL. For this reason, again, reading between the lines, trying to sometimes infer, guess what is meant by one or this or that sentence is quite important in this type of reading task. Let's move on. That was controversial, I agree, but let's see what's going to happen in the next one. Quite a short one, so it's not going to take much time. So, Keel, is it just one answer or two answers? I don't quite understand. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have several answers in here. First, let me reveal the correct one, and it is number 3, the United States of America. Congratulations to those who said the United States of America. I guess first it can be guessed by the title, American Sign Language. Yeah, when we say America, we usually mean the United States. At least I do. Maybe Canada, not the South America for sure, because it's like Latin America or something. We usually specify it. Why number 1 is not correct? Due to the fact that in here we saw such a sentence, there are hundreds of sign languages. No, we can't use American Sign Language all over the world. They will simply not understand us. While point 2 is not correct in here, I'm sorry, simply because American Sign Language is specific to the USA, while UK and Australia have their own languages. So that means that, again, a deaf and non-person from the United States might have troubles communicating to his colleagues somewhere else. Why number 4 is not correct? Yeah, it is said that ASL is closer to French Sign Language. But guys, closer doesn't mean the same or very similar, just closer. So be careful again. Sometimes when you see the word French or English, it doesn't mean that the answer is here right in front of you. A longer paragraph, but still. I guess this one is quite simple because the answer is right in the first sentence. In the 19th century. But unfortunately, it doesn't mean that it happened 400 years ago. It happened about 200 years ago. So 19th century means in 18 something. Or even if we count it, it's a bit more than 200 years ago. Maybe more, maybe less, it depends. So those who said number 3, you're absolutely right. Let's move on. Same paragraph, but a bit different question. Make sure you understand every word so that you do not know, so that do not make mistakes. We already have some answers. So let me reveal the correct one. Unfortunately, it is point 4, so my congratulations to Nikita. Let's see why. So the results were made with the intention to promote deaf culture? Definitely not. You see, no deaf people were allowed to participate, and the majority voted in favor of oral education, which meant that deaf education was decreasing, unfortunately. Led to further development of sign languages worldwide. No idea of that is mentioned in here. Still, judging by the main results of this Congress, again, deaf education and sign languages and their role was lowering down. Enriched use of sign language with lip reading and speech. I don't think that deaf people or numb people can really learn how to speak. But as we can see, exaggerated facial expressions and all of this was a part of sign language. And it was considered unpleasant to hearing people. For this reason, the Congress made their decision in order to ban, or at least to decrease the amount of people taught using this sign language. Let's move on. The same paragraph. The answer is again right on the surface. Just choose it. Yeah, I cannot agree more. So after this Congress, the education, the deaf education in America began to slowly deteriorate, to become worse and worse. Thank you, my congratulations, and we move on. Again, I would like to pay your attention to the fact that here we need to see what is not mentioned as a negative result. Let's give you 20 more seconds. All right. So basically, those who said 3, you are absolutely right. It is mentioned closer to the second part of the paragraph. Fortunately, the children in the schools still used ASL. This Congress didn't affect the fact that they could use it in interpersonal communication. While the sign language was banned during the classes, and oral instruction was used as the main source or the main way of instruction. And the first one is actually also mentioned. The number of deaf teachers in the schools dropped significantly. Great. So we have some more time left. Would you like to deal with one more text and one more task, or would you like to have a few questions? Would you like to ask me a few questions and finish? So I see one person who votes for having one more task. Let's see what the others say. The task. Great. So the next text is called philanthropy. I guess the meaning of this word is known to you. If not, it is basically explained in the first paragraph. The first paragraph just contains general information, but still, I think you need to read it. Don't rush. Be careful. Okay. Those who say that entering college was his dream are absolutely right. You see, he knew they led to information and so on. When the day finally came to unpack my belongings, which means that he brought his things to the college, to the campus, it was not, I hope, it was not just a visit. He came there to study. And the last two sentences also prove that this point is correct. My years on campus, I don't think that you come to campus to stay there for years just as a friend's visit. The classes, professors, and so on. So basically, he wanted to enter and study there. So the main difference between enter and visit is that you enter a university or a college or a school to attend it as educational institution, while you can visit just the building to look at how beautiful it is. It's not actually mentioned whether he wanted to leave the state or to change your life. So that's it. We move on to the next task. Sometimes you are asked to say what this or that word or combination of words refers to. Be careful. Unfortunately, those who say one are wrong, and I will explain why. Here, the author talks about her own experience. Now, probably, she is a board member of the Center for Advancement, and she has seen the joy of alumni and friends. Alumni basically means people who graduated from some university or educational institution. So, and the word former student is the closest synonym to the word alumni. Board members are not so numerous, unfortunately. For this reason, her own experience cannot be applied to them. Future graduates doesn't also work in here, because she says, as a student, one does not always value how much they have and so on. And the author's friends, yes, to some extent friends, but mostly in the quality of people who used to study in here. Be careful, again. Do not rush and try not to be confused by the words you don't know, or try at least not to take the first variant, which seems from the text, which seems correct, judging by the text. Number 14. This one is not that obvious, but I believe you can do it. We have the first answer and the second. Okay. Those who said that she had an opportunity to appreciate donors' aid are absolutely right. Basically, it's not mentioned whether she became more successful or whether she made more friends. No. As for making a big difference in students' lives, it is slightly mentioned in here, but this is not the main focus. For this reason, our donors can discover, they become a part of the life in the college, and so on. This is all about the people who donate money. Number 15. Same paragraph, but a bit different task. Okay, so let me reveal the correct answer, and it is 1. So my congratulations to those who say 1. Because sponsor health treatment, yeah? To support the cure for a hereditary medical condition. Basically, the same idea. Communicate with students. The connection to first-generation college students. This is it. Attend college sport clubs. The atmosphere of a football Saturday. Donors are basically ordinary people, so why don't they come and visit or even play at some sport competition? Thank you. Let's move on. Be extremely careful. Okay. I see your point. But I see no correct answer in here, unfortunately, because the focus here is programming. Yes, it also strives to make the arts accessible, for sure, but it doesn't say that this education program is focused on arts. Then technology, no. Technology is mentioned as the era of technology, and the fact that computers matter so much in today's world. Architecture, world-class architecture. No, guys, this is meant that the whole building is some kind of masterpiece, some kind of example of nice architecture. It is not meant that this whole building this whole building is about teaching future architects, while programming and technological things mentioned in the text, I know they are not mentioned directly, it's not directly said, and this is the peculiarity of the task. You do not, you very seldom have the answer right in front of you. However, programming is the only suitable answer in here. Number 17, a shorter one. Kirill has changed his mind. Okay. You're right. Those who say that 4 is the correct answer. Definitely. College teachers can be supported by private gifts. However strange it may seem, it is correct. To assist our faculty, who are the life of the institution. Under the word faculty, it is meant, the people who work at this faculty are meant. And last but not least, task 18. Take your time, but not too much, since at the exam you will be stressed out and you will need to concentrate. A few more seconds, and I will reveal the answer. Okay, we have quite a lot of different answers, but the correct one is number 2. And let me explain why. Yes, the definition of philanthropy is mentioned in here. However, it's not the main point. You can read it in any dictionary. What's the use of writing an article? Show the author's experience in philanthropy. Definitely not. She is not rich. Philanthropy requires putting money into educational institutions, while in here, she just works for a university department that collects money from people who want to donate. And she definitely does not criticize how the donor's money is spent. Not a word about this. Pay tribute. The closest synonym is to say why these people should be respected, or to mention about why they are so important. Why do you think there are so many words like donors, supporters, and so on? Only for this reason. The whole text is aimed at saying how important these people are for educational institutions. This is the last task. I will share the presentation, and you will have a chance to basically refer to it, maybe to revise a bit if you want to. We have a bit more time left if you have any questions. If not, today one of my colleagues will continue dealing with a bit different tasks. I mean, the same type, but different texts. I hope what I said and what we did today was useful for you. Thank you a lot too. And good luck to you. Even in these difficult conditions, you managed to find the time to study and you have the courage to take these exams. I respect you a lot. So guys, thank you for participation and have a nice evening.